please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. Back to talking about the monsoon. GP Sharma, President Meteorology and Climate Change of Skymet, is back online with us. Mr. Sharma, good morning. So, we've had two good monsoons back to back. You reckon we are in for third straight one?
Oh yes, possibly the third one in a row to be a good monsoon. We can say the 100% rainfall expect Skymet. And addition to that, we expect a little early arrival also. As we predict, 28th of May should be the mainland. That's Kerala, it should hit. Though the Bay Islands, North Andaman Sea and all, it's even almost about a week prior to that, around 20th or so, we expect it to reach there. Okay. Thereafter, travel across Sri Lanka in between, and then on 28th, with plus minus 2 days is the margin error of the model. Accordingly, it should make an onset. And it should be a good onset. Okay. Prior to the onset, we should be seeing a fairly good amount of pre-monsoon activity, good in number at many stations over the South Peninsula. Like what I would like to put across is it's not going to be a mild or a subdued onset, which sometimes we see. It's going to be a good onset.
But an early onset, does it mean an early advance across the peninsula? I mean, should we expect that? Mumbai, which normally receives its first showers on the 8th or 10th of June, would get it a couple of days earlier?
Sorry, actually the onset date is not at all linked with its further performance or advancement. Neither the rainfall prior to the onset, normal onset of 1st June, that is counted against the monsoon. The countdown starts from 1st June only, the monsoon rainfall. Okay. And as far as its further advancement, though, it's looking on time, even the advancement also. But I don't see it happening before 10th of June, which is the normal date for Mumbai for the onset. It should happen around that time only. But then before that, obviously, it will cover parts of peninsular India and also expected to reach even northeast India on time and then cover those parts also. Mumbai, Kolkata, I think it remains around 10th of June or so, plus minus 1 or 2 days. Yes, please.
So, Mr. Sharma, basically, the forecast is for a slight early arrival, but any change in the overall estimates in terms of the quantum of rainfall? The earlier prediction from Skymet was also a normal monsoon, so that still stands?
Yes. We stick to our the earlier forecast of about 100% of LPA, long period average, with a margin error of plus minus 5%. As we said that possibly slightly slowdown of the monsoon, we expect towards second half of July and sometime in August or so on account of break in monsoon, which we normally see it happening during the monsoon season. Otherwise, I don't see any significant change happening. It should be actually the month of June, the opening month should be a good one. And then this will trickle down even to the first half of July. Little slowdown, as I said, in between. So sometime end of July but pick up again as we reach towards the end of the season. Short of even before September, the rains will pick up again, and then we end up almost close to the LPA what we have for the season. Yes, please.
All right, we leave it at that, sir. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Sharma, with that pleasant news that not only does the monsoon arrive early, but there will be substantial pre-monsoon showers even before that, and it won't even be a weak onset. Well, almost awaiting that, one can perhaps bear the sweltering heat a little better. But good for, of course, agri stocks as well. And speaking of stocks and agri, let's invite our own Manisha Gupta to tell us everything that's happening in the world of commodities. Good morning, Manisha. Weak bulls in crude.
Well, yes, you have one good news though coming in from the monsoon, so we can take in the switch. Well, yes, the crude oil prices to begin with have started Asia on a weaker note. Well, the big thing really is that you are looking at the speculative long positions continue to go down and trade at a 5-month lows right now. So clearly there is profit taking coming in for this one. And apart from that, the US production is on the higher side. The US rig count has been increasing for the 6th straight week now, up by 10 at 844 in the previous count. So that, of course, has pulled the prices lower. But what is a developing story really is that you have statements from Europe and Asia saying that they do not want to be a part of US is walking away from the Iran sanctions. They still want to deal with Iran, even if in a different currency, if that is the case. But they do not want to walk off from this signation is what actually is what the markets are watching out for. On the other side, you also have seen the US dollar rally pause a bit, and that in turn has been supportive for metals. So you have the gold prices starting the week on a positive note. In the metal space as well, after the kind of profit-taking we saw on Friday, aluminum, nickel, steel, iron ore, all of these in Shanghai are trading in the positive zone.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So, dull on crude, bears on crude, but bulls on metals. That's the word, and I think that'll suit us fine. That would mean positivity for the metal space at least, and of course for oil refining companies. But let's see, early morning trends are 1/3% higher. So 10,800 looks emphatically taken at this point. But remember, these are pre-opening trades. Well, who are the big ones to look for? Titan is starting with about a 3% in terms of gains. HDFC, which was on our technical advisors list, is starting with a 1.5% uptick. We'll have to perhaps see how the banks are doing. I guess all of them would be, would see a lot of rate.
Canara Bank is down 10% in pre-open. So that, of course, let's see how that one pans out. Sun TV is reacting positively to its earnings. That was always on expected lines. So that's the other one to keep an eye on. And graphite is up about 7.5% in pre-opening.
Allahabad is down 7-8% as well. So banks obviously have...
Rupee opens quite strong. 67.25. So perhaps today will not be a big IT day. I don't know. It's not one-to-one at all. But rupee clearly opening strong because the dollar has receded from 93 to 92.4 or thereabouts. So that's definitely helping the rupee. And usually exit polls have, elections have a huge bearing on the rupee. A good BJP win after the results can have a positive impact. Yeah, no two ways about that.
Yeah, a couple of more stocks that you would want to keep an eye on. One is Vakrangi, that's down about 5%. The other is Indiabulls Ventures. Indiabulls Ventures is down 5%. Now, this SEBI mechanism, right? Additional surveillance measure where you move stocks to 5% band. Indiabulls Ventures is the latest to move into that, and that stock on very high volumes in pre-open is down 5%. So just to keep an eye on that one. PTC India financials numbers were quite poor, and that stock is opening about 4.5% lower. So these are few stocks that you would want to keep an eye on. Nishil Maheshwari is with us from Edelweiss. Nishil, hi, good morning. Your thoughts on the earnings season so far? Been a bit of a mixed bag?
Yeah, hi Anuj, morning. I think earnings-wise until now has been more or less close to the expectation. We have seen some good results coming in the banking sector. We've seen some good results coming in the FMCG. But I think more or less close to what the market expectation was.
Okay. All right, Nishal. First up, were you impressed by all the FMCG numbers? What was your pick of the pack? In particular, I wanted your view on Tata Global. On the face of it, the numbers look extremely unimpressive. EBITDA down 20%.
Sorry, Lata, I have not tracked Tata Global, but I think the other FMCG numbers, whether it was levers or other pack, basically, I think they were all pretty good. Volumes have been good on the FMCG side. So I think results were expected or better than expected as far as my analyst is concerned.
So, Nishal, obviously, lever comes out today, your estimates, and then just a general sense, a lot of these consumer companies have delivered very well. There's no doubt about that. But stock price reaction is increasingly getting muted. I don't know if that's a case of vertigo. Whether it was Jubilant, a couple of others as well, Westlife for that matter. What would your sense be?
I think a lot of this has been already priced in. But especially in case of Jubilant, I think the stock has already gone up by almost 20% in the last 1 month. So I think that is sort of priced in basically, and yes, the results are also outstanding for Jubilant.
Okay.
And that's why you are seeing that post the result, you are seeing some amount of profit taking happening. Still
a word on the market. The market is getting very narrow. The advanced decline for the last 5 or 6 days consistently in favor of declines. Far many stocks hitting 52-week lows. Is that a cause of concern, or would you say that that's par for course?
I think it's more to do with both the global as well as the domestic news. So on the global side, you've seen a appreciating dollar basically, which is negative for the whole emerging market. You're seeing oil going up basically, which is particularly negative for India. On the domestic side, obviously the Karnataka elections is waited with a bated breath. So I think these are some of the things, and that's why you're seeing that the market is stuck in a range, which I believe is going to break out post the 15th. Obviously, though the international concerns will still continue to remain.
Okay. Nischal, just a word on Ingersoll Rand. I don't know if you track that company. Just what's happening in that stock? Can we pull up the chart of Ingersoll Rand? It was good numbers. I think that came on Thursday. We saw a fairly decent rally on Friday. And today again, the pre-market rates are, look at that. I mean, there's no relation to the way in which it is. No, not intraday. We have to look at the 1-year chart or a 3-month chart or a 6-month chart to give you the idea. Intraday will not give you any, will not help at all. Today is 16% higher. But look at the way it's moved in the past 2-3 days. Do you track this stock at all?
So, Lata, we do not track this stock. We don't have it under coverage. But one thing I can actually tell you is in the last 4 or 5 months, I've been meeting a lot of companies which have to do with the capex, and Ingersoll Rand is also basically making compressors. So I think all these companies are seeing very, very strong growth, both in terms of order book, both in terms of sales. So I see definitely, I think Ingersoll Rand also somewhere basically is a beneficiary out of that. Okay. And that's why you're seeing this kind of reaction happening.
Okay, yes. And just Sun TV, I mean, that again looked like blockbuster numbers. Nischal, is that in your coverage?
We have it under coverage. We are particularly excited about it, and it trades at a fairly steep discount to Z. Given that the numbers have been very strong, and you have to also look at it in the current quarter, that last year it had a 75 crore loss of IPL, and this year I think that's going to be positive. So I think going ahead, Sun looks pretty interesting to us.
Nischal, you did mention that once this, political news is out of the way, 15th onwards, you're expecting a breakout on the market. More chances of an upside breakout or downside? And the reason I ask is, I mean, earnings, finally, Q4, what does that leave you with? It's not been really blowout, which would really spark off big upgrades, right?
Yes, I do agree with you. But so 2 things. One, I don't believe that the election results anyway impact the market. I think there's going to be a day or 2 basically, and thereafter the market is going to take its own course. Now, secondly, coming back to the expectations as far as the results are concerned, I think results have been more or less along with what the expectations were. And if I build it on that, basically, so after a long period of time, you will get a double-digit number basically coming in the current year. And thereafter, people are building around 20%, but I think the safe level should be around 14 to 15% kind of a growth next year. So I think this is way basically the market is building up on that. So market, if you really look at it in the last 1 year, had run up quite a bit. Now the economy is catching up, the numbers are catching up. So that's what is happening basically.
Okay, Nischal, we leave it there. Thanks a lot for your time today. That's the view from Edelweiss. The pre-open has settled 8 point higher on the Nifty, 8 point lower on the Bank Nifty. Could be that kind of an open. Tata Global Beverages is down 2.5%. All boils down to, of course, market positioning. We had seen a big rally, and obviously the numbers have not, been blockbusters. So that stock is down about close to 2.5%. Ashwani, your thoughts on pre-opening, and what's your 9-10 call?
Well, media is 0.5% higher, so that means Sun TV will probably do well. Overall, still bullish on the agri space. So 914 M&M should be bought. That's with a stop of about 864, target of 890. And the indices, the way they are opening, I don't think the first couple of hours you'll see major movement.
Okay. Any specific agri stock again, if you want to take a look, or would you rather pick after the market opens?
Well, after the market will be open, but agri and media, these sort of sectors may do well today. Escorts looks like it's ready for some sort of breakout. So keep a strong eye on these tractor type companies.
By the way, all the
Sun TV, Ashwini, good to go for more?
Sun TV has corrected quite a lot, and this is well positioned to accept good results. maybe it could have fairly decent upside for the day.
A lot of the fertilizer stocks, as Ashwini is pointing them out, and that was his call in the morning, play agri. In the pre-open, they're already showing gains of 4.5%, 5%, depending on which stock you're looking at. And a couple of these result reactions like Relaxo, Saregama, Graphite Twins, these are stocks that are holding out in positive in the pre-open market. Mitesh, any fresh ideas that come to mind? Or, I mean, if you have a specific trade on fertilizers per se?
I've not looked at fertilizer stocks recently, I think at least over the last 2-3 days. But I think today, when the market sees some kind of movement happening over there with the positive news flow on monsoon, I think we'll just look into it.
Okay. Well, actually, it's an uninspiring pre-open set of numbers, not giving you any direction. Actually, even Asian markets were looking for direction. It is no big news kind of situation for the global markets as well. Everything that needed to be reacted to has already been reacted to. So just biding time and looking for news. And in the Indian markets, perhaps as Anuj was pointing out, the exit polls were already factored in by the crossover of 10,800 on Friday. And therefore, at the moment, the market is trying to see what news it can play and latch on upwards or downwards. To be fair, the pharma stocks have shown a little bit of green. Dr. Reddy's is up 1%. So there seems to be a little bit of relief from that constant badgering that they have encountered, but one doesn't know how long that will last. Likewise, HP, BP, IOC also a little bit in the green because of the higher prices, their ability to raise prices as well as crude receding. Are they stocks to play at all, Prakash? HP, BP, IOC, any of the oil companies?
Some of the oil marketing companies were certainly showing some traction. I think I would look at perhaps BPCL, that was looking good. Can see a move until 410 to 420 zones. 390 could be the stop out there.
Okay, Allahabad Bank, of course, is the top F&O loser now, 4.5%. Reliance Naval, about 3.5% lower is what we have on that. And a couple of pharma stocks, Aurobindo Pharma is down about 1.3%. Ashwini, a word on Hexaware, which has been very volatile of late.
See, Hexaware is almost cleaning out that big red bar post the results. So somewhere I think the market is moving on. So this is possibly now turning into a buy. You can buy with a stop around 410. At some point, we should get closer to say 580, 600.
By the way, Dena Bank is down 6% for what it's worth. Right now, the RBI said no more lending because of the manner in which bad loans have increased. That's a stock that's down about 6.5%.
Well, this has been done in the past. In United Bank, they did it. When, you know, it's all comes under the broad rubric of prompt corrective action. Well, not all that prompt, you'll have to say, because Dena Bank has been doing badly for a very, very long time. But here, the steps are a little more accentuated because the problems are more accentuated. So you can't even lend. For the other banks, you have to lend very... I mean, there are...
The branch expansion limitations, I guess.
Yeah, the prompt corrective action is a little less severe on the other banks. But in any case, I don't think public sector banks are going to be favoured for till they show that the bad news is behind them. Even the ones that people betted on, like Indian Bank, have shown trouble. So at the moment, that is definitely not going to be favoured. It will be banks like Kotak which are going to grab. Any NBFCs, Ashwini, that stand out today or for the moment?
See, India Bulls Housing Finance came back fairly strongly the other day on Friday. So maybe there is some sort of upside which could be there on housing stocks in general, leave aside Canfin Home, etc., LIC. I would look for, you know, Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Finserv. It's clear that a few NBFCs are differentiating themselves, but a lot of them are making new lows. So stick with the ones which are rallying towards their previous highs.
Okay. And Asian Paints, is that good to go for more? I mean, it saw a big monster rally on Friday.
See, it's getting past a previous range, and given the way overall FMCG, Nestle, etc. are moving, I think Asian Paints at some point could be, you know, 1,500 rupee type of stock.
Oh, okay. I mean, it went from 1,200 to 1,300 in practically no time, you know, all in a day. But we're just a few seconds away from the market opening. It looks to be an uninspiring opening. That's because it was an inspired finish on Friday, when perhaps most of the good news was factored in. Now the market will wait for the actual results. before they react.